Imagine a child sitting alone in their room, the world outside moving fast, but inside time feels frozen. The laughter of other children seems distant, unreachable, as if it belongs to a life they are not allowed to live. Every glance, every word, every silence leaves a mark, an invisible thread woven deep into their mind. These are the moments that shape more than memories. They shape the way we see ourselves, the way we trust others, and the way we approach the world. Trauma in childhood is not always loud or violent. It can be the quiet neglect, the constant criticism, or the feeling that your feelings do not matter. It whispers in your ear, shaping your thoughts and reactions long before you even understand what is happening. You might carry a fear of failure, a deep need for approval, or an unspoken sadness that colors even your happiest moments. But here is the first truth you need to know. Feeling this way does not mean you are broken. Feeling this way means you survived. It means you are human, and your experiences, no matter how heavy, have given you resilience, even if you cannot yet see it. Healing begins with recognition, with allowing yourself to acknowledge the pain without judgment. It begins with the courage to look inward and say, "I see you, little one. I hear you, and you are not alone." Every fear that held you, every doubt that shadowed your mind, can be faced with awareness. The child inside you, the one who felt invisible, unheard, or unsafe, is still there, waiting to be held with compassion. Understanding your past is not about dwelling in sorrow. It is about reclaiming the power that trauma tried to take away. It is about stepping into your own life with intention, carrying the lessons of survival as a source of strength rather than shame. You are not defined by what happened to you, but by the courage you show today. This moment, right now, is your chance to begin rewriting the story that started long ago. Each step toward awareness, each small act of self-kindness is a victory. And though the shadows of the past may still linger, the light of your resilience has always been stronger, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to rise. Childhood trauma leaves footprints in the mind long before we understand what they mean. It is not always visible on the outside, but inside, it changes the way a child thinks, feels, and reacts. A simple criticism can feel like a judgment of your entire being. A raised voice can echo for years, making every confrontation feel dangerous. Even moments meant to be playful can carry fear if safety was never guaranteed. The brain of a child is incredibly adaptable, but it also absorbs the environment with a vulnerability that adults rarely see. Trauma teaches the mind to protect itself, to anticipate threats, to expect rejection or disappointment. This might look like perfectionism, anger, withdrawal, or constant people-pleasing. These patterns, though protective at the time, often create invisible chains that follow a person into adulthood. And yet, the human mind is capable of extraordinary recovery. Neuroscience now tells us that the brain can rewire, that pathways can be healed with awareness and practice, that the nervous system can learn safety even after years of fear. Healing is not instant, and it is rarely easy, but it is always possible. It begins with understanding that the behaviors you developed as a child were tools for survival, not flaws in your character. When a child learns that they must hide their emotions to be accepted, that fear is a survival skill, not a weakness. When you grow into adulthood carrying these lessons, you might feel trapped, repeating cycles that feel impossible to break. But every awareness of these patterns is a spark of change. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you comfort yourself instead of criticizing, you are reshaping the old neural pathways. You are teaching your mind a new way to exist in the world, a way rooted in safety, trust, and self-respect. Understanding trauma also means learning to name it, to give it shape and meaning, instead of letting it silently direct your life. When you can say, This fear is not me, it is my past speaking. You reclaim power. The courage to face these truths is enormous because it asks you to confront pain, long buried, to feel what was once unbearable, and to give compassion to the child inside. That child, the one who cried, who felt alone, who learned that love was conditional, is still within you, waiting for recognition, waiting for care. By acknowledging their suffering and offering kindness, you begin to integrate the past into your present in a healthy way. You learn that vulnerability is strength, that emotions are guides, and that your experiences, no matter how dark, do not define the limits of your life. Each small act of self-awareness, each moment of self-compassion is a step toward freedom. You are not doomed to repeat the shadows of your childhood. You are not bound by the mistakes or neglect of others. You are free to rewrite the script, to teach yourself safety, trust, and love, and to live a life that is not dictated by fear, but guided by courage, presence, and self-respect. The path is long, but every step forward proves that resilience is not a gift. It is a skill you cultivate, a force that has always been inside you, waiting for your recognition. Trauma from childhood often feels like a shadow that follows you. Everywhere, even when you think you have left it behind. It influences decisions, relationships, and the way you see yourself, sometimes without you even realizing it. You may find yourself avoiding intimacy, fearing rejection, or constantly seeking approval, because the lessons you learned as a child taught you that love and safety were conditional. The mind remembers what the body cannot forget, and the nervous system carries echoes of fear and pain in ways words cannot fully describe. But awareness is the first key to breaking free. Recognizing that your reactions are not flaws but learned survival strategies opens the door to transformation. It's not weakness to struggle with the effects of trauma. It is human. Every anxious thought, every defensive impulse is a signal from a nervous system that is trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. Understanding this allows you to respond differently, to pause before reacting, and to choose actions that align with your values rather than your fears. Healing is a gradual process, built from small, consistent steps. It could mean learning to set boundaries where before you would have said yes out of fear, or allowing yourself to feel emotions without judgment, or seeking relationships that nurture instead of drain. The power lies in reclaiming agency over your own mind and body. When you begin to reframe your past, seeing the child you once were with compassion rather than criticism, you begin to dismantle the grip trauma has over your present. You learn that the emotions that once seemed unbearable are actually messages guiding you towards self-care, connection, and growth. Meditation, journaling, therapy, and even simple practices like mindful breathing can help retrain the nervous system to recognize safety. Each time you comfort yourself instead of lashing out, each time you respond rather than react, you are reshaping your inner landscape. Resilience is not about forgetting the past. It is about integrating it, learning from it, and refusing to let it define your future. You have the capacity to transform pain into wisdom, fear into courage, and old patterns into new possibilities. Growth is possible because the brain is plastic, adaptable, and capable of change at any stage of life. Every act of self-awareness, every moment of vulnerability is an exercise in strength. By connecting with supportive communities or mentors, you amplify this process, reminding yourself that you are not alone, that others have walked this path and emerged stronger. The journey of healing is as much about patience as it is about action. Celebrate small victories. A day without self-criticism, a conversation approached with openness, a moment of genuine joy without guilt. These are milestones that prove transformation. is happening, that the trauma is no longer the silent driver of your life. Over time, you begin to trust yourself again, to make choices rooted in self-respect rather than fear. You learn to hold space for both your past and your potential, to see the child within not as broken, but as resilient, courageous, and capable of growth. This understanding becomes a compass, guiding your actions and relationships with clarity and intention. Healing is not linear, but every step forward reinforces that you are capable, that your past does not define your worth, and that you can create a life that is safe, joyful, and deeply fulfilling. You are not bound by what happened to you. You are free to reclaim your story, rewrite your narrative, and embrace a life of empowerment, purpose, and authentic connection. The impact of childhood trauma extends far beyond early years, often seeping into the way you navigate relationships, trust others, and view yourself in the world. Many adults carry patterns of hypervigilance, self-doubt, and emotional withdrawal, unaware that these behaviors are echoes of survival strategies from the past. When you learn to recognize these patterns, you begin to reclaim power over your emotional life. Understanding that your reactions are not defects but signals allows you to pause and respond differently. Emotional intelligence becomes a key tool in this process. By observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you create space to make conscious choices rather than being driven by unconscious impulses. Each moment of awareness is a small victory, a step toward freedom from the invisible chains of past pain. Healing requires courage because it demands confronting memories, emotions, and fears that were once too overwhelming to face. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite it. When you approach yourself with compassion, acknowledging the child within who once suffered, you create an environment where growth is possible. Relationships, too, are transformed when you apply these lessons. Instead of seeking validation or fearing rejection, you begin to engage with authenticity, setting boundaries that honor your well-being and inviting connections that are nurturing rather than depleting. Every act of self-care, every honest conversation, and every conscious decision to let go of toxic attachments reinforces your ability to trust yourself. Trauma often distorts perception, convincing you that you are unworthy or incapable. Rebuilding self-trust is therefore central to transformation. It begins with small, deliberate actions, keeping promises to yourself, acknowledging your achievements, and celebrating progress even when it feels minor. Over time, these actions accumulate, reshaping the narrative you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. The nervous system, once conditioned for survival, slowly learns new rhythms of safety and stability. Mindfulness, meditation, and breathwork are powerful allies in this retraining, offering tools to manage anxiety, regulate emotions, and cultivate presence. Supportive communities, mentors, or therapists provide mirrors that reflect your strengths and validate your experiences, reminding you that you are not alone. Each challenge faced, each fear confronted, is proof of resilience. Trauma does not have to define your relationships, career, or personal growth. You are capable of deep connection, meaningful work, and authentic joy. By embracing self-awareness and intentional living, you turn survival into mastery, pain into wisdom, and fear into courage. Life after trauma is not about perfection. It is about authenticity, integrity, and the willingness to engage with the world fully. Each choice to act from love rather than fear strengthens neural pathways of resilience, reinforcing your capacity for empathy, patience, and understanding. Over time, patterns of avoidance and self-doubt dissolve, replaced by confidence, clarity, and self-respect. You learn that your past is not a limitation, but a foundation for growth. Every day becomes an opportunity to practice presence, honor your emotions, and align with your highest self. Healing transforms not only your inner world, but also your external reality, creating relationships, environments, and experiences that reflect your worth, courage, and authenticity. You are capable of reclaiming your life, nurturing your potential, and stepping fully into a future defined by empowerment, purpose, and joy. Healing from childhood trauma is not linear. It comes in waves, sometimes subtle, sometimes overwhelming. There will be days when the past feels impossibly heavy, and moments when old fears resurface unexpectedly. Yet every challenge faced is an opportunity to strengthen your resilience. Resilience is not about being unbreakable, it is about bending without breaking, about facing adversity with a heart that refuses to surrender. Each time you confront uncomfortable emotions instead of suppressing them, you expand your capacity to navigate life with clarity and courage. Trauma often teaches you to doubt yourself, to question your worth, and to settle for less than you deserve. But learning to trust yourself again is one of the most profound acts of defiance and self-love. Begin by noticing your achievements, no matter how small, and by recognizing the strength it takes just to survive. Your persistence is proof of your inherent power, and each act of self-kindness reinforces a foundation of stability and confidence. Boundaries become your allies. They protect your energy, your peace, and your sense of self. Saying no when something feels harmful is not selfish. It is an assertion of your right to safety and well-being. Similarly, saying yes to experiences that nourish your mind, body, and spirit is a celebration of your capacity to choose life rather than merely endure it. Support is not weakness. It is a declaration that healing is a collaborative journey. Trusted friends, mentors, or therapists can hold space for your growth, offering perspective, encouragement, and accountability. In these relationships, you learn that vulnerability is strength, and sharing your story does not diminish you. It empowers others and affirms your humanity. Creativity, movement, and mindfulness are essential tools in this process. Journaling allows the mind to process complex emotions. Physical activity releases pent-up tension and energy. Meditation cultivates presence and awareness. These practices recalibrate the nervous system, teaching it to feel safe, to respond instead of react, and to cultivate calm amid chaos. Over time, old patterns of avoidance, self-criticism, and fear gradually give way to deliberate, conscious living. Each step towards self-awareness, each moment of choosing love over fear, builds momentum toward a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Healing teaches patience, not as a passive waiting, but as active endurance and trust in your own process. You begin to understand that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities to refine your approach, to deepen your self-compassion, and to reinforce your resilience. Gratitude, even for the smallest moments of progress, magnifies growth and shifts. Focus from what was lost to what is possible. Through consistent effort, trauma loses its grip on your identity. You emerge stronger, more empathetic, and more attuned to both your inner world and the lives of those around you. Life becomes not merely about surviving, but about thriving, embracing challenges as invitations to grow, to learn, and to lead with integrity. In this transformation, the child within you, the one who once felt powerless, unheard, and unseen, is finally acknowledged, comforted, and honored. And in honoring that child, you reclaim not only your past, but also the full, vibrant potential of your future. A future defined by courage, purpose, and unwavering self-respect. Trauma leaves invisible scars, yet it also plants seeds of wisdom and inner strength. The journey toward healing demands that you confront the echoes of the past while refusing to be defined by them. Every memory, every lingering fear, and every emotion is a piece of your story, not a verdict on your worth. Recognizing this distinction is a turning point. Your experiences shape you, but they do not limit the life you can create. Emotional triggers may arise unexpectedly, a sudden flash of anger, sadness, or anxiety that feels uncontrollable. In these moments, pause and breathe. Observe the emotion without judgment, name it, accept it, and remind yourself that it is temporary. By doing so, you reclaim agency over your reactions and teach your mind and body that safety and stability are possible. Self-compassion becomes the cornerstone of your resilience. You learn to speak to yourself not as a harsh critic, but as a supportive guide, offering patience, understanding, and encouragement. Mistakes and setbacks are inevitable, yet they are not reflections of failure. They are lessons in disguise, opportunities to practice grace toward yourself and refine your approach to life. Forgiveness, particularly self-forgiveness, is a radical act of liberation. It releases the weight of shame, guilt, and resentment that trauma often leaves behind. This does not mean forgetting or excusing harm done, but rather choosing to unburden your heart so it can function freely, creatively, and fully. Empowerment also grows from reclaiming your personal narrative. Sharing your story with those who listen with empathy strengthens your sense of self and dismantles the isolation trauma creates. The courage to speak your truth validates your experiences and inspires others to confront their own shadows. Establishing routines that honor your mind, body, and spirit is essential. Consistent sleep, mindful eating, physical activity, and reflective practices recalibrate your nervous system, enabling you to respond to life with clarity rather than react out of fear. Creativity, whether through art, writing, or music, allows expression beyond words and provides a channel for emotions too complex to articulate. Over time, you notice patterns of growth. Moments when fear loses its intensity, when self-doubt is replaced by confidence, when past pain no longer dictates your choices. This is the power of sustained effort, of persistent commitment to your own well-being. Gratitude and awareness of progress, no matter how incremental, magnify transformation. You begin to inhabit life fully, embracing joy alongside sorrow, strength alongside vulnerability. Connections with others deepen as empathy and understanding flow from your own lived experience. Healing teaches you that you are not your trauma. You are the resilient being who endures, adapts, and ultimately thrives. You learn to stand firmly in your truth, guided by values, integrity, and a clear sense of purpose. The path is ongoing, sometimes challenging, but each step forward is a testament to your courage, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to living a meaningful, empowered life. By nurturing yourself, confronting fear, and honoring your journey, you transform pain into power and adversity into opportunity, forging a future defined not by what happened to you, but by what you choose to create. The final stage of healing is about integration, where every lesson, every struggle, and every triumph becomes part of the fabric of who you are. Trauma may have shaped your early experiences, but it cannot dictate your future. By acknowledging the pain and understanding its influence, you reclaim authority over your life and make conscious choices rooted in awareness rather than reaction. This stage is about mastering your inner world. Thoughts no longer control you. Instead, you observe them, filter them, and decide which ones serve your growth. Emotions, once volatile and overwhelming, become signals, guiding you toward deeper self-understanding and meaningful action. You cultivate resilience by embracing vulnerability, recognizing that strength is not the absence of fear, but the ability to move forward despite it. Boundaries are established, not as walls, but as sacred spaces where your well-being is honored. You learn to say no without guilt, to protect your energy, and to prioritize relationships that nurture rather than deplete you. Forgiveness extends beyond yourself. It touches those who have caused harm, not to excuse their actions, but to free yourself from the invisible chains of resentment. Gratitude becomes a daily practice, shifting your focus from what was lost to what you can now. Create. Each morning carries intention, each action carries purpose, and each interaction carries the awareness that your life is no longer defined by survival alone, but by thriving in alignment with your true self. You notice that your past, while significant, no longer casts shadows over your present. Fear and self-doubt may surface, but they are now temporary visitors rather than permanent residents. Your inner dialogue is kind, firm, and encouraging, guiding you with patience and clarity. You celebrate small victories and honor progress, understanding that transformation is a journey rather than a destination. The wisdom gained from trauma equips you to support others, to listen with empathy, and to offer compassion without judgment. You realize that your experiences have given you a unique perspective, a lens through which you can inspire, teach, and uplift. Creativity flows freely, whether in thought, expression, or problem-solving, as you no longer fear mistakes or judgment. You engage with life fully, embracing joy, curiosity, and connection with an open heart. The past becomes a teacher, the present a canvas, and the future an opportunity to manifest your highest potential. In this place of integration, strength, and clarity, you are both grounded and expansive. You have learned that you are not defined by suffering, but by your ability to rise, to transform, and to live authentically. Every breath is a declaration of resilience, every choice a testament to self-mastery, and every relationship a reflection of your commitment to connection and growth. Trauma may have shaped the contours of your journey, but it does not define the masterpiece you are becoming. In this awakened state, you recognize that the power to heal, to create, and to thrive has always resided within you, waiting for the moment you would claim it fully and unapologetically. You are whole. You are strong. You are free.